Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. We are here with Convene. Since 1996, they have been providing for CEOs, business owners, leaders out in the community. I'm here with the Denver chair, Todd Kemp. Let me ask you, Todd, first of all, why don't you share with our viewers out there what got you personally involved in this organization?
For me, it was honestly a calling. I had been prepared in a couple of areas, been working with business owners for about 5 years, and I had been mentoring seminary students for a couple of years prior to leading up to that time, and sensed that this was an area that I was being called into to work with the community of business owners and CEOs in this capacity.
Wonderful. Let me ask you this. Obviously, business owners, they start out with such a passion of doing something, and then a lot of times after a while they feel isolated, possibly don't have the tools, don't have the relationships needed to carry on. Is this where your company comes in, and why is it so important today, maybe more than ever before?
Well, that's exactly right, Gary. CEOs and business owners, it's kind of a cliche, but it's a truism that is lonely at the top. It's very tough for people in that situation to be able to go with their tough challenges to key employees or family members or other folks. They're all well-meaning, but they've got an agenda, and so they find themselves isolated. So by bringing people together, people who walk the same path, who are sitting in the same seat, if you will, like-minded CEOs coming together to help one another. They get out of that isolation and therefore actually increase their performance, and their sense of well-being and community increases as well.
I love it. One thing I notice here as a business person going down that journey, it's a very personal journey, but yet a lot of times we try to separate our personal life from our business life. We almost believe that we can't mesh the two together. You're basically coming along and saying that can be different.
Absolutely, and the term we use would be integration of those. It's I think an aspect of our society that encourages us to compartmentalize our lives, and I think that tears us in a lot of different directions. And when we can reintegrate those things and integrate all of who we are and bring all of who we are into a particular context, whether it's business, family, community, or what have you, we bring all of who we've been created to be, and it makes for a much more potent impact in that context.
You can really get some results that way, I imagine. The model that you all have put together basically works across the board for anyone. Let's start off first of all with the Convene Forum Days. What happens there?
A Forum Day is a day where our community gets together. So it's a group of CEOs and business owners who get together and work on a particular area of leadership growth, leadership development, or business management. And so we've got a curriculum that we're working through. As a part of that, probably the most potent aspect of that Forum Day is working on the hot issues. So we'll figure out what's the hot topic for a particular business owner on that occasion. So we'll work with 2 or 3 of those different issues, and integrate the sort of iron sharpening iron aspect, where one another we check in with one another, get their perspective, get some ideas on the table, and get some input into that business owner's life, so they can go out with some solutions, some actions they can go take tomorrow in the office.
Quite a Christian mastermind, actually.
It is. I wish it was my brainchild, but I'm just standing on the shoulders of some other folks who came up with the practice. But the idea is biblically based, of wise counsel, of people who intersect a safe environment, people who are safe, and people who have competence into that iron sharpening iron mastermind group, if you will.
Perfect. Let me ask you this. How long have you been involved with the organization here?
I started with Convene when it started in Denver about 3.5 years ago.
Wonderful. Obviously, you've probably seen a few people come on board. And what are the responses you're seeing out there?
You know, most of the guys who come in are kind of flabbergasted by the amount of work that it is at the beginning, but really extremely rewarded by what they get out of it.
Wonderful. Let me ask you this: as far as really a brotherhood of business members, do you find yourself getting pretty close to a few of the people?
Yeah, these are guys you call on when you need help. These are people that you email when you've got a tough problem, to tackle, or people that when you call and say, I just need to vent to somebody. These guys become those people for you.
What attracted you at the beginning to even start with the organization?
I think in the beginning, the thought really was that I was looking for somebody who had similar beliefs as mine and that was looking for a way to expand their business and to grow their business. But in addition to that, to try and figure out a way to integrate some of these biblical principles into the workplace, which is really difficult in our society.
I imagine. One thing, obviously you've stuck with it for 3 years. What keeps you involved in the organization, and what kind of results have you seen personally?
The easiest way to answer that, Gary, is to tell you a quick story, and that story is this. My wife was talking to one of her best friends, and her husband owns a business, and he was having some struggles, and my wife said, well, he needs a convene group. And, this friend says to my wife, well, what's convene? And my wife's like, well, I'm not really sure what it is, but I can tell you this. Since he joined Convene, Steve's a better man, a better husband, and a better businessman.
So that first environment we're talking about is really a collaboration of a lot of owners coming together. Wonderful. Let's move on to the one-to-one. That would be more of a personal. Tell me about that.
Right. So once a month, I will meet with one of the members of the Convene team, each of the members. And in that one-on-one environment, we're drilling into the specific hot issues that they're dealing with. It could be a personnel issue. It could be something going on with a customer or client. It could be something going on with them personally that they need to get some traction on. Whatever is most important, most critical to them is what we're dealing with to try to help them move forward.
Got to be quite comforting for a business owner to be able to cross the line of personal and not just keep it all strictly business, because quite honestly, a lot of times the personal issues we deal with, those are the ones that really can tackle us and knock us down a lot of times. Obviously, like creates like, and through the environments you've provided there, this is where the Convene community comes in. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so the community aspect is, it's an informal way for people to get together outside of a forum day to get to know one another, build rapport, build relationship, build some depth in a one-on-one environment with one another over lunch or breakfast or what have you, so that they can speak into one another's lives in a more personal way. So that, again, the idea is to help move one another forward.
Wonderful. So you're obviously in tune of what's going on around you as far as your local environment as well. And obviously the Convene events that go on, this is the nationwide where you get together, even the bigger picture, I would imagine.
Yes, absolutely. Once a year we have what's called our CEO Summit, and that happens in the spring every year. And it's an opportunity for Convene members from around the nation to get together with top-line national speakers who speak into different aspects of the CEO's life, topics of interest to business owners and CEOs and their spouses, and build that community at a national level, and be able to work with somebody from another state and get to know them and find out they're in a similar business, or might be able to help one another out from that standpoint.
I like that model. One of the things that attracted me to this organization was the fact that a lot of times we feel that we need to settle, either hit our priorities when it comes to personal life or hit our priorities when it comes to business. But you're basically saying with parallel priorities, you can do them all.
Yeah, that's right. We're created with the seeds of greatness, and God calls us into a higher purpose. More than just the bottom line, more than just a particular singular focus. It's not easy. It's hard. Frankly, it's messy sometimes. Wrestling through, what does that mix look like? Their life, and be able to speak into that, whether it's personal or professional or spiritual or whatever that dimension might be.
Great. Folks, if you take a look at the bottom of the screen right there, you're going to see their website information right there. You're also going to see Todd's personal contact information. You can click there, find a team locally in your area if you're not in the Denver area as well. But if you're in Denver, reach out to Todd and his group. And basically, we're going to walk you through the different environments that are going to enable you to produce basically the success, the profits, and a lot of the family bondings that you're able to provide for. I mean, after a while, I imagine a lot of your group members almost become like family to you.
Very much so. I care very deeply for each of these folks. We have some very special connections with one another. I'm privileged to be able to walk alongside them in the journey and help them get progress on some things that are just the most important aspects of their lives. Stuff that they just don't talk to anybody else with on some occasions.
You yourself have personally advised over 100 companies since you started this. When you think back, are there certain success stories that, can you think of one you could share with us?
I think of one CEO who, within probably about 3 or 4 months of joining our Convene team, he had implemented some of the strategies that we had worked with him on, suggested, and he got very serious about implementing this. And the results he got were he was able to essentially buy back, if you will, redeem 3 to 4 days a month, every month of his life. And as it turned out, you'd say, okay, well, what did he do with that? Did he work on something much more strategic? And ideally, the answer would have been yes. In this situation, his father-in-law had passed away, and shortly thereafter, and so he was able to then step into to a very important role to assist his mother-in-law through a very tough personal process. And those extra 3-4 days per month for him became very precious from a personal standpoint.
Wonderful. Let me ask you, Todd, obviously, when you're dealing with a lot of tough issues out there, how important are the biblical foundations that the company was founded on? How do they play a part?
It's a vital part of the DNA, the fabric of Convene process. When we get into the community process, there's guys bringing up their tough business issues, for sure, and people speaking into that and speaking into the leadership development aspects of everyone. But integrated into that, into the fabric of who we are, is the wise counsel model that comes out of Scripture. Because if you think of leadership development and decision making, for those whose faith is based on biblical principles and in God, for them, for us, being able to tie that to Scripture and faith is an important part of that growth process. So that's exactly what we do.
I think it's a pretty natural process. I mean, honestly, a tree is known by its fruit, and so therefore you're basically putting these ideas out here and actually implementing them, not only in the personal life, but business life, serving God overall. It's really a win-win situation for those that are involved, as well as leadership in the team on your end as well.
That's exactly right. And so I think being able to deliver the integration aspect of that and not check that at the door has just been a tremendous benefit for folks in the group and for the employees that they serve.
Someone out there who wants to get involved, what's the starting point? What do they need to do? Call you up? Is it a meeting? What happens?
It would be a conversation with me and a selection interview, and then the process would also involve getting to know a member over a lunch or breakfast, just to get a sense of culture fit and make sure there's a compatibility that's a mutual fit for both parties.
Wonderful. Once again, folks, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. You're going to see their contact information right there. You're also going to see the website again, where you can see some of the faith foundations, the biblical foundations that started this company, and quite honestly is leading it into past the 21st century, helping businesses, CEOs, and owners just like you. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.